Good morning, everyone. I'm T.A. Walker from WPTV News Channel 5. South Florida was fortunate enough to avoid the wrath of Hurricane Ida, which made landfall Sunday in Louisiana as a powerful Category 4 storm. But, us in South Florida, we all know too well the devastation that can be left behind. Ida was one of the strongest storms to make landfall in the U.S., joining the ranks of Hurricane Andrew, which battered South Florida in 1992, and Hurricane Katrina, which caused more than 1,800 deaths and $125 billion in damage around New Orleans in 2005. Now, there are several national and regional organizations that are providing assistance to prepare the people of Louisiana. One of those such organizations is the American Red Cross. Good morning, Sierra Campbell. How are you?
Good morning, TA. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, you sent me this morning some powerful footage of the before, the during, and the aftermath, really. And so we'll get to that in a little second. But I did want to tell everybody, WPTV is partnering with the American Red Cross today for an all-day virtual telethon. Your donations will provide food and shelter for those that have been impacted by Hurricane Ida. And you can call the number on your screen, 1-866-477-4483, or just what I did, text Ida to 9999. I used the company's cell phone, by the way. I thought, hey, they can get the bill.
Might as well, right?
Right.
It's going to a great cause.
Absolutely. So, Sierra, kind of walk us through what happens when the storm is approaching, because you guys have to stage equipment, I would imagine, right?
Sure. So over the weekend, really, as we found out that Ida was going to be a significant sized storm, we were preparing. We were preparing across multiple states where we anticipated Ida would hit. So that doesn't just mean preparing shelters and preparing the necessary resources, but that also means preparing people. So that means getting our volunteers in place. And we have numerous disasters that are happening across the nation as we speak. We have the Western wildfires. We have significant flooding up in the Northeast now. We have the after effects of Tropical Storm Fred and Tropical Storm Henri. And now we have, of course, Hurricane Ida. And so we have volunteers from not only the South Florida region, but volunteers from across the nation that are deployed to these various locations to help out with relief efforts. So we here in South Florida, we're going through all of our disaster volunteers and seeing who was available to deploy. So that's really where we were working, what we were working very hard on over the weekend, making sure we could get volunteers on the ground in those areas that we were expecting to be affected prior to Hurricane Ida making landfall. So again, outside of the resources, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at this video that you sent me, and it looks like a logistical nightmare. Like, you have to be so organized. This is not where you would put me as a volunteer. This is not my area of expertise.
You're right. There's so many moving parts within the Red Cross to make sure that we're prepared for these disasters. So we're providing meals, we're providing snacks, water, comfort kits. Those comfort kits have blankets and toothbrushes and hygiene supplies and everything that you would need if you're staying in a shelter with us. Some of those basic needs that we don't think twice about, that we use on a daily basis. In this video here, in this footage, that's exactly what you're seeing our volunteer team prepping for.
Now, you were telling me earlier that you worked on the building collapse in Miami, and that was kind of a chaotic situation because there's all these organizations, all these people that need help, all these agencies, all these government officials working together. Do you find that happens in a situation like Hurricane Ida as well, or is it more controlled?
What I can tell you is the support that we receive from other agencies, that these communities receive from other agencies, is tremendous. And the support that the Red Cross provides is in partnership with partners. So how we're setting up mobile kitchens to prepare tens of thousands of meals. We do that in partnership with designated partners across these locations that have been impacted. So the support that these areas receive from not only the Red Cross but other agencies really is heartwarming and
Yeah.
tremendous, because they need that support.
In the worst of times, it seems like you get the best of people. They really truly pitch in. Here you see the American Red Cross is setting up a feeding station for folks, because if your house was damaged, you literally could possibly have nothing. Hopefully, just some of the things you put in go bags, and but you wouldn't have the basic things like you said, the toothbrushes, the hygiene, the food. What does it take to feed that many people all at once? That has to be a tremendous undertaking.
It is. And that's where we rely so heavily on the generosity of our donors, and this partnership with WPTV. That's why this is so important, to make sure that we can continue to provide the relief to these individuals that have been impacted. So your donation is going towards their safe shelter, their meals, those basic necessities that we just talked through. So it's extremely important. And TA, I will share that 90 cents of every dollar that's donated goes towards disasters like we're seeing here. The effort that's being put in the video that's being shown here,
That's a
that's
great
going
return.
directly.
I used to be on the board of a national organization, and 90 cents per donated dollar is a great rate to have. You guys should be very proud of that. That is hard to do, and you have to be very efficient with your money to make that happen. I want to talk about a little bit, before I do that, WPTV is partnering with American Red Cross. It's an all-day virtual drive today. You can donate now. Call 1-866-477-GIVE or 1-866-477-4483, or text IDA to 90999. That's IDA to 90999. And if your company has a cell phone for you, like mine did, I just did it right there. So what are the current states there in Louisiana? What's going on?
So right now, from the South Florida region, we have over 35, both volunteers and staff, that have deployed. We also have 2 of our emergency response vehicles that left. ERVs, yes.
Yeah.
I try to not use the acronyms. We in the Red Cross, we call them ERVs, but that stands for Emergency Response Vehicles. Thank you for that, TA. So they left early Monday morning, and we have one in Mississippi and one in Louisiana. And these are the big vehicles that you see driving around. You'll likely see one pop up in this video that's being played, but they're the vehicles that are providing those comfort kits. They're providing those meals to communities. So right now, as we really discover what the actual damage is on the ground in these states impacted, you're going to see the Red Cross. You're going to see the Red Cross all over, because we don't, again, like I mentioned earlier, don't just have volunteers from the South Florida region. We have volunteers from every single region across the United States. And it's truly incredible the way volunteers and the Red Cross really come together to help out those areas in need.
What do you think a person feels like that's lost everything and they see that red plus symbol on somebody's chest or back? That has to be like, those people are here for me. That has to be a moment of relief for folks, right?
The one word that comes to mind, TA, is hope. Mm-hmm. I can't fathom losing everything, and to see people on the ground like the Red Cross, to see that logo, even if you don't know all of the services that the Red Cross provides, you do know that the Red Cross is there to help. And that's what our logo means to people. And that's exactly what we're on the ground doing, is we're helping. We're providing hope in what is likely some of these individuals' darkest days.
Absolutely. If you want to donate to the American Red Cross for Ida relief, you can call the number on your screen right now to speak to a live operator. That's 1-866-477-GIVE, or text Ida to 90999. Now, Sierra, forgive me for a second. I want to talk with Jay Gray from NBC News. He filed this report.
3 days later, It's still hard to comprehend what's happened in southeast Louisiana.
And it's really chaotic out here now.
The key to survival across the strike zone is getting online. Not the internet, there's no power. But lines for gas and groceries that stretch in some places for miles.
I've been here 3 hours. 3 hours. Everyone okay? Y'all doing all right out here?
The few grocery stores that are open are running out of supplies fast.
It'll probably be all gone before noon. That's my bet. Everybody's buying ice. So it's crazy.
Food right now is a day-to-day struggle.
You can only buy enough food that you can cook for today, and luckily I have a gas stove so I can cook.
The other lines of consequence here are these: mangled power cables pulled to the ground. Hundreds of thousands in Louisiana still don't have electricity.
It's a Herculean effort that they have to put forth to tie this loop in. Think about it, 9 parishes, 0 power. And they have to do it in a certain way, and there's no other way that they can do it.
The wind and rain is gone, but thousands are still evacuating. These Xavier students headed to Dallas and others just looking for any place with power.
We're leaving today because there's no knowing when the lights are going to come back on.
Just one of so many things that are uncertain after Ida. And a little backstory on this particular house. The owner had just finished refurbishing it, was just moving in when Ida hit. Jay Gray, NBC News, New Orleans.
Now, Sierra from the American Red Cross, you saw all the damage there, blocked roads, the no power, the desperation. It's been 4 days now. Jay filed that report last night. You guys have a lot to do at the American Red Cross.
We do. And these individuals that are leaving the area, we heard that woman say they have to leave. And these grocery store lines are just enormously long, and they can only buy what they can cook that day. And that's why the Red Cross is there, making sure that these individuals can have a meal, that they can have a roof over their head. If they're not able to leave the area by car, you see some of these roads that are still flooded. The Red Cross has shelters set up. And what I do encourage everyone to do is go to your app store and download the free American Red Cross emergency app. This is going to show you all of the locations that the Red Cross has shelters set up around you. So please go in and download that app and use that as a resource for you. If you're not able to get back home, if you're not able to leave the area, there are shelters available around you.
Now, this is some footage you sent us of the storm damage. But as we're looking at this, I want to talk about a little bit about what you guys in the South Florida chapter, in the South Florida region rather, what you're doing to help support the folks there in Louisiana.
Sure. We have over 35 volunteers and staff that are deployed to that area. So we have volunteers and staff on the ground that are physically there helping those individuals. But then I do want to share that we have an entire team like myself that is not currently deployed right now, but we are working with our partners such as you guys, WPTV, making sure that we're getting the word out there about what's happening, what we're seeing on the ground, how you can help. So it's really a dual effort of those that are on the ground, but then those that are back here working behind the scenes a little bit to make sure that the word is getting out there. The resources that maybe those teammates need on the ground, we're providing that to them. So it's really a team effort.
You were saying earlier that, before we started, you were telling me that, hey, we're only halfway through hurricane season and we need to take this opportunity to get people to prepare, right? We
do. It's September 2nd and we are only halfway through hurricane season. Usually September is peak. hurricane season for us. So we are not out of the woods when it comes to these storms. And we know that the entire state of Florida, we are highly vulnerable to a hurricane, and we need to make sure that we are prepared. So do you have your plan in place? There's really 3 easy steps that you can follow. The first being build your kit. You can find out exactly what needs to be in your kit at redcross.org/prepare.
And don't forget your pets. Don't forget your pets.
Yes, yes. And thank you for mentioning that. That's always a plug that I put in during when we talk about hurricane messaging is if you're building a kit for yourself, you must build a kit for your pets.
Absolutely.
You should, if you're evacuating, you should never be evacuating without your pets. Your pets are your family. I cannot stress that enough. The amount of pets that we see left behind from a storm, it's catastrophic. And these animals rely on their owners to keep them safe. So please do your part in making sure that your pets have a plan. The second part of that is making a plan. So if you are ordered to evacuate, where are you going to go? Have you talked to family and friends? Can you stay with them? Making sure that you just know in the back of your head what you're going to do if an urgent evacuation order is issued.
Yeah.
And then the last piece of that is to be informed. So stay up to date with what your local officials are saying, what your local news outlets are saying. And again, they're going to track this storm very closely. They are going to let you know what areas need to be evacuated. So by following those 3 steps, you can make sure that you and your loved ones have that plan in place.
And the other thing I want to put on the radar is, there's a lot of folks that have moved down here in the last 18 months. Maybe they didn't want to be in New York anymore. Maybe they wanted to, relocate to somewhere more tropical with a lot more outdoor spaces. You need to know where your flood zones are, because if you're in a flood zone, you probably should automatically evacuate if the storm gets too serious, right?
You should. And I will tell you, I am not originally from the state of Florida, but I have lived here for quite some time. And so I have become very familiar with hurricanes and flooding and what I need to have in my home and how I need to be prepared. And so for those individuals that are not originally from here, it can be a little bit of a shock when you're not used to having this type of natural disaster. So please take some time, understand what these things mean, what it means to be prepared, and what steps you need to take in order to do that. Unfortunately, we see 6 months out of the year we are in hurricane season. So we're on high alert a big portion of each year. So another piece of that too is let's just make sure we're checking on each other. If you have, like you said, TA, we have a lot of people that move down here from other areas, retirees. So make sure that if you have individuals that are living alone, that may need assistance, let's check on our neighbors. Let's just give them a knock on the door.
You're not being nosy.
No, you're not being nosy. You're being kind. And sometimes we don't see enough of that, right? Be kind. Let's check on our neighbors, make sure they have a plan and they know what to do in case of an emergency.
Absolutely. Is there anything else, Sierra, from the American Red Cross that you'd like to add before we go?
Yes. A big thank you to WPTV for your generosity and helping us raise funds towards Hurricane Ida. And a big thank you to our generous donors and our volunteers that are currently deployed and that are planning to deploy here in the coming days and weeks.
Well, you guys have your work cut out for you, and so you are asking for everyone's help. Please donate now. You can call 1-866-477-GIVE or 1-866-477-4483, or simply text IDA to 90999 and use your company phone. I'm just saying. I didn't really do that. I know that there's people that email the HR person and be like, he can't do that. I didn't really do it. I was just telling a joke.
I don't know, TA. I think you might have.
All right, Sierra Campbell, thanks for being with me.